Now, Giannis has rightfully been beat up for his lack of playoff success because he's had the opportunity to do it and he has fallen short. But now this year, what has he done? He's gone up against the Miami Heat, the team who embarrassed him and put him out the playoffs last year and then made it to the finals. He's like again, Milwaukee did not have to play Miami. They tanked to play Miami. They wanted to see Miami. They saw him and they got him up out of here. Then round 2, he goes up against the best player in the Eastern Conference. Some would argue the best player in the NBA. Many of us argued after that series he was the best player in the NBA despite losing it. And Giannis beat him. Some will say Giannis outplayed him. I won't go that far because let's be honest. If KD's foot was like half an inch back, there's no overtime and the Bucks don't even make it out of the second round. But again, that's not what happened. They make it out the second round. Then Giannis hurts his knee. Now, I'm not a person who's going to praise Giannis for coming back from the hyperextended knee only because there was no structural damage. So it's like, there's no structural damage. Okay, there's some pain, there's some swelling. Okay, we can work through this, but like it's not structurally damaged. Like, got it. So he played a little bit slow game 1. It's his first game back, but then he comes back and busts heads back-to-back 40 pieces. Game 2, third quarter, amazing. Game 3, amazing. But we hold it against Giannis because we don't like the way it looks. Now, I've been guilty of this because I put out, I think I put on Facebook, I'd rather watch grass grow than watch Giannis on League Pass. I stand by that. But that doesn't mean he's not effective. Have you ever worked with somebody, right? You had a coworker or a boss, you couldn't stand them. Could not stand them at all. But they delivered great products every single time. Now, the process in which to get those products was terrible. You're like, dang, bro, could you just be nicer? Do you have to be mean all the time? But nonetheless, they still give you the products that you want, the products that you need. Or think about a strict parent. Living a life with a strict parent is difficult, man. You always can't have the same fun that your friends have. You can't go to all the parties that your friends go to. You sometimes got to go to bed earlier. You got to make sure you have certain grades. But in the long term, you look at your successes, you look at your life 10, 15 years later, and you go, you know what? I understand why we went through this. Now, it didn't feel good. It didn't look good, but it got us our desired result. And that's Giannis's game. We don't like to look at it because he's not a skilled player, right? He can't shoot. He doesn't have the best ball handling skills, even though he scores at the rim. It's not like your traditional post game, but it works. And it works at a high level. Like who can stop him? Now, don't get me wrong. I think he has probably the most favorable matchup right now in the finals that he could have asked for. Because if he had to look at like Anthony Davis or something, they're like, I don't know. And if he had to play against the Clippers, I think that Ty Lue would have had the right adjustments. His path to the basket would have been very difficult, despite the fact that they don't have a top end rim protector. But he's been unstoppable in the finals. And the type of finals that he's having, if he continues this, it's like, hey, bro, this is all-time stuff. But not only is it all-time stuff, you look at where he's at in his career. Well, he's been in the league, I believe, 7 years. I think this is year 7 for Giannis, but he's 26 years old. And he's already won 2 MVPs. He's already been a multi-time All-Star, 5-time All-Star, 5-time All-NBA, 4-time All-Defense, and a Defensive Player of the Year. So if he maintains this momentum, he gets a Finals MVP this year. We're looking at like a historical run. We're looking at like, hey, you got 2 MVPs in this third season. You had MVP numbers, but we didn't want to give you the MVP because of what you look like in the playoffs in these previous years. And we can't say that a non-champion, someone who's not shown up in the playoffs, somebody whose flaws are exposed in the playoffs and they've not been able to overcome them, can be a 3-time MVP, 3-time in a row MVP, because that's like Larry Bird type stuff. You know what I mean? Not many people have done that. So we didn't want to put him in that rare air. But if he wins this championship and he continues to drop these 40 pieces, what else is there to say? The proof is in the pudding. It's like, oh, dang, we didn't want to give LeBron the MVP in 2011 because we didn't want to give him the MVP 3 years in a row because he hasn't done it what we wanted in the playoffs. But when we look back on it, we go, yeah, LeBron was the most valuable player that season. And if Giannis continues to close this out, man, he just might have been the most valuable player this season. And all of us were wrong. And if he finishes now, who are we to say he's not the best player in the league? Because ring culture tells us that it's not just what you do on the court, it's how it affects winning. Because we can talk about skill. I know James Harden is a more skilled basketball player than Giannis. Kyrie's the most skilled basketball player in the league by most accounts, but that doesn't necessarily equate to winning. I think Kobe Bryant was more skilled than LeBron James, but if you look at the numbers, you look at winning percentages, you look at who was on the teams, LeBron was more effective, you know? Now, I'm not going to get too crazy about his 40-point playoff games because as amazing as they are, as efficient as they are, it's like, bro, who else is going to score and who else can guard him? Like, this is what they should do to win games. But if Giannis walks away as a Finals MVP and the NBA champion, what is the argument? What is the reasonable, rational, fact-based argument against him being the best player in the league? Oh, he can't shoot. It doesn't matter. Shaq couldn't shoot. We still gave him best player in the league. But we were comfortable with Shaq dominating from the post. But we see Giannis take a few bad threes we don't like. Because he has the ball in his hand more and he does more guard things, we try to view him as like a perimeter player. But no, Giannis is a post player, man. He's I won't say a post player. He is a interior finisher. That's where he butters his biscuits. That's where he makes his money. So we have to change our view because I think that we are trying to make Giannis what we want him to be, and then we judge him for not being what we want him to be. But when it equates to winning, and he has the numbers to go with it, at that point, we're wrong, not him.